Hello, in this video tutorial, we continue our acquaintance with the Vue.js UI Builder, and we'll analyze in detail the process of creating and developing widgets for Bitrix24. We will also consider the general principles of working with forms in this application. Let's start creating a widget. In the application interface, click the Add button. In the opened creation wizard, the addition type field is already preset to widget integration. To create a widget, we need to sequentially fill out several steps: category, position, placement, and settings. Depending on the selected parameters, a fifth step may appear. In the video, we will show in detail how it is added and used. At the initial stage, the category step, we select the Widget in CRM option. After selecting the category, we proceed to the position selection step. Here, next to each placement option, there is an information icon. Clicking on it displays information about the widget's location in the interface. For example, let's select the tab in the detailed card of a CRM element and click Next to proceed to the next step. Step 3. Placement. At this stage, we clarify for which CRM element the widget will be created. Among the available options are Lead, Deal, Contact, and others. To demonstrate the flexibility of settings, we will show a situation where an additional step appears. If you select Smart Processes, the system will add a fifth step, ID, where you need to specify a specific smart process. To continue the main example, let's go back and select Lead, then proceed to the next step. Step 4. Settings. We see the full path where our widget will be embedded. Let's give it a clear name, for example, Assortment. The widget code is generated automatically. You can add a description if desired. Before clicking Create, let's open any lead to see the result immediately. As we chose, the widget will appear right here in the form of a new tab. Let's return to the builder and click Create. After clicking Create, we return to our lead and refresh the page. We see that the Assortment tab has appeared. Click on it. For now, there is only the Development button. It is with its help that we will fill the widget with functionality. Web Development Mode. Click Development. The Web Development interface opens, divided into two parts. On the left, the code editor with management tools. On the right, the preview panel. The source code is an example and is not saved to our form. Let's make minor changes and click the Render button. We see the changes in the preview. The Save button appeared. Click it. There is also the Loading a Ready-Made Solution button, intended for working with an external development environment, IDE. We will devote a separate tutorial to this topic. In the current video, we will focus on three elements: development mode, input data, and API debugger. Since we have already saved the form earlier, we now simply close the web development mode, refresh the lead page, and return to our tab. We see the development button again. It is displayed while development mode is enabled for this form. Clicking on it will take us back to the editor. To see the saved form in the card, you need to disable development mode. Turn it off, close the editor, and refresh the lead page. Now the finished form is displayed. Development mode can also be switched directly in the application through the corresponding switch in the Forms table. There is an important nuance. If you enable development mode again, the development button will be visible only to you in the current session, while other users will continue to see the working form. Let's demonstrate with an example. Enable development mode. Open a lead, reload the page, and we see that the development button is present. Now let's open the same lead in the browser. We see that the form is displayed in the usual way. This is convenient for testing, as the changes made are immediately visible to colleagues. Working with input data. You can enter web development mode in two ways: through the development button in the CRM element card, or through the Vue.js UI Builder application itself. Visually, the interface is the same, but there is an important difference in the input data that Bitrix24 passes. To explain, let's open the Help section. Technology Stack, and expand the Application API item, then go to the description of the Fields property. It contains information about the widget placement location, placement, and about the current element, for example, its ID. Let's check in practice. Go to the lead card test 2. Its ID is 4. Go to the Assortment form and click Development. In the web editor, open the Input Data tab. In Placement and Type, we see the placement type, and in Placement and Options, we see the ID, which is equal to 4. Open, for example, another lead, for example, Test. Go to Assortment. Then click on the Development button and output the input data. Here the ID is 2. Thus, by receiving input data, we can interact with a specific CRM card. If you open web development directly from the application without a card, the input data will not be information about the current element, but data about the application itself. If necessary, they can be copied from the card and pasted into the editor. This is convenient for developing and testing forms for any elements. Let's rewrite the test code so that it outputs the input data directly into the form. First, let's show how you can copy input data and change input data. Click the Edit button. Copy the input data. Go to another window where the web development form is also open. Click Edit. Paste the code and apply the result. Thus, we have shown how you can copy input data, make changes, and use them in another web development form. Now let's output the input data directly into the form. First, delete everything unnecessary from the code, leaving only the necessary. In the data block, add a new property, fields. Let's go through the code again and remove unnecessary lines. Next, in the mounted hook, we will set the data, get the input data via API and write them to the fields property. And finally, in the template section, output the contents of fields to the screen to see them directly in the form. Save the result. The preview displays the data of the lead test. By changing the input data, you can develop and test different code operation scenarios. Now we turn off development mode, go to the lead card, close the development mode, and refresh the lead page. After refreshing the page, in the assortment section, we see the input data related specifically to this lead. Open another lead. Its assortment section will display its own data. Using the API Debugger. After we have dealt with the input data, let's move on to how we can interact with them. All operations with forms are performed through calls to the Bitrix24 REST API functions. For testing them, the application has a convenient tool, the API Debugger. Let's open it. There are 2 fields on the screen, method and data. When opening the form for the first time, an example method and data are already filled in. You can immediately click Send and see the result. This tool works on the same principle as the Bitrix24 call API method described in the help section. Now, for example, let's get information about a specific lead. Open the Bitrix24 REST API documentation, go to the CRM section, then to the lead subsection and select the required method. In our case, it is CRM lead get. In the documentation, we see that the mandatory parameter is the lead ID. Copy the method from the documentation and paste it into the method field in the API Debugger. In the data field, specify the lead ID according to the documentation. In our example, it is 4. Click Send. In response, we get a structure with lead data, including its title. In our case, it matches what is specified in the card, Test 2. Practical example. Creating a form. Now let's create a practical example, an assortment form that will change the lead title depending on the selected product. To speed up development, let's use AI. Before that, open in the Help section, the Development Mode section, then expand the Web Development subsection, and familiarize yourself with the limitations of this mode. For complex projects, it is better to use IDE, but for our task, the capabilities of the web editor are sufficient. Let's generate a prompt for AI specifying that we need a Vue 3 component using Widget24 containing 2 drop-down lists. The first, for selecting a product category, the second, for selecting a product from the selected category. Paste the previously copied limitations from the Help section for web development. Wait for execution. Copy the generated code. Paste the generated code into the editor and click Render. Make adjustments to the code so that the generated fields are displayed one above the other. Click Render again and check the form's behavior according to the previously described logic. Everything works as expected. Next, refine the code. Get the ID of the current lead and display it in the form to make sure that the input data is passed correctly. Check the route to the ID. For this, open the input data. We see that the path to the ID property is specified correctly. Now output our ID to the form, add it to the data property, and then display it in the template section. Click Render. We see that the ID specified in the input data is displayed in the form. Now let's make changes to the lead title depending on the selected product. First, open the documentation and see how the card change is performed. Find the method we need. We see that the method needs to pass the element ID in a field's object with the fields to be changed. The lead title is stored in the title field. Add to the code the API method Bitrix24 call, which will call CRM lead update. In the parameters, we pass the ID from the input data and fields specify the new title field. We do this so that when a product is selected, the lead title is automatically D. Save and test. Open the lead card test 2. Go to the assortment form and select a product. The title changes according to the recorded logic. Now go to the lead test. Refresh the page. Go to assortment. Select another product. The title is similarly updated according to the recorded logic. We have shown how, using the application and REST API, you can change cards, but the possibilities do not end there. Let's open the Bitrix24 REST API documentation and see what other possibilities this approach gives. Get related cards and manage other CRM elements. Create and edit tasks. Start business processes. Work with smart processes, products, documents, and other entities. In fact, you can automate almost everything presented in the Bitrix24 REST API documentation. The limitations are determined only by your imagination and the available API methods. This concludes the current video tutorial. Thank you for watching until the end. I wish you successful work with Bitrix24 and bold ideas for automation.